One of the things we wanted to do relative to this 50th anniversary year is to recognize a couple of individuals, maybe one individual, turned out to be two individuals, that have really made an important contribution to the employee benefit system and to what we at the American Benefits Council are concerned about and work about. And so we began to discuss it with the board of directors, and it was one of the fastest discussions that we've ever had, because immediately it was a unanimous consensus that two real employee benefit champions for us and for the benefit system are Senator Rob Portman, Republican of Ohio, and Senator Ben Cardin, Democrat of Maryland. Dating back at least to the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, they both have worked independently, but very considerably together with one another on a whole host of issues, primarily in the retirement area. And we've had the pleasure and the privilege of working very closely with them, principally my colleague Lynn Dudley, who you'll hear from in just a moment. And I think what really resonated with all of us in terms of honoring them is not just the substantive work that they've done over an extensive period of time that represents more than half the history of the American Benefits Council, in fact, but the fact that they did it on a bipartisan basis, and how so many problems in this country could be addressed so much more effectively if others would work in that same collaborative way that two individuals with different political philosophies have worked together for the common good of Americans. And so came up with this idea, it was unanimous, named them the Employee Benefit Champions. And then my creative colleague, Jason, who is really the thought leader behind this whole conference, said, well, if we're going to name them champions, we need to come up with an appropriate type of award for them, for a couple of guys who have been, literally in the arena working for the advancement of better retirement policy. So in light of that, cue the music, please. So Jason came up with this idea, and we had a lot of fun with it. And it says American Benefits Council. It's got our logo. Employee Benefits Champion, Senator Rob Portman. Obviously, the other one says Senator Ben Cardin. Some congressional items here, the Senate seal and the Capitol Dome. And then some things that represent employee benefits, retirement, and health care as well. And so we had the opportunity to present them, and I think, well, we're going to show a video in a second, and you'll see what one of them said about it. So, so thank you very much to Senators Portman and Cardin, who had hoped to be here today to receive it. It was all planned for, a couple of months now, but there's a little thing going on Capitol Hill this week, and today in particular. So we very, very quickly, literally the day before Thanksgiving, actually, they had to kind of pull the plug on it, and over the Thanksgiving weekend, they recorded some remarks, at least Portman did, Cardin, a couple of days ago, and we'd like to play that now. So first, we'd like to play the video from Senator Portman. Thank you, Jill and Jason.
Hi, I'm U.S. Senator Rob Portman. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you today as you celebrate American Benefits Council's 50th anniversary. I wish I could be with you there in person. We're working on some things up here on Capitol Hill, like tax reform, that keeps me from being with you. But I'm really honored to receive the Employee Benefits Champion Award this year, along with my good buddy and colleague, Senator Ben Cardin. For 2 decades, I've partnered with Senator Cardin to help secure important retirement security wins for workers and retirees, and I'm proud of our work together. I'm also proud to have worked with my friends Jim Klein, Lynn Dudley, and others at the American Benefits Council. Thanks for all the great work you do to protect the interests of workers, retirees, and their families. Just a couple of weeks ago, you were instrumental in getting my amendment to protect early withdrawals for 457 plans into the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So this tax reform plan has some improvements there. For retiring workers, benefits are part of a deal that was made long ago. Through decades of hard work and planning for their future, they held up their end of the bargain, and now the government's got to do the same thing. It's a pretty simple concept. The American Benefits Council has fought tirelessly to ensure that Americans can access a retirement plan and save enough to retire comfortably. And again, I've been happy to have been your partner in this and look forward to more in the future. Just this year, Senator Cardin and I introduced the Bipartisan Retirement Security Preservation Act. This is a bill that will help protect the retirement security for hundreds of thousands of employees who are counting on their pension benefits to be there in their retirement. Earlier this month, President Trump signed the TSP Modernization Act, that's the Thrift Savings Plan Modernization Act, into law. This was a bipartisan bill which I authored, which will give federal employees the flexibility to help them maximize their retirement security, really important for government workers and their retirement. So our successes are shared, and this reward belongs as much to everyone else here today as it does to Ben and to me. Thanks for the role you played and will continue to play in this critical endeavor. We got lots more work to do. And congratulations again on this historic 50th anniversary and many more to come. Godspeed.
And so that was something that Senator Portman kindly did over the Thanksgiving holiday. And for Senator Cardin, Lynn and I went up with Jason and presented the award to him just 2 days ago. Roll that film. Because you're a champion and you have been a man in the arena, Jason came up with the great idea of a heavyweight championship belt.
Oh my goodness.
And you can wear it. It's suitable for wearing or for framing. And
Well, I've never earned one of these in the ring. I want to assure you of that.
I don't know.
That's quite an honor.
You've earned it in a much harder environment
Wow,
for
that's
fighting.
lovely.
And so
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's got some fun things on it. Of course, your name, logo, and some
Look
congressional
at
stuff.
that.
And we figured you had to come up with something with health and retirement. So that's what the rest of them said.
It actually can wear it.
Wear
That's-
it. It's definitely suitable for wearing.
All right,
and Myrna will be very impressed. And-
Well, Jim, I'm not sure it's under the Senate rules I can wear this on the floor of the Senate, but we'll find out. If Senator Portman is wearing one, then maybe I'll wear one. I'll
yeah,
see.
for a colloquy, I think that would be pretty good.
That sounds
actually,
good.
so.
But
So
Jim,
thank you.
if I could, let me just thank the American Benefits Council. It's been a great ride, and I think back about when we started on the Portman Cardin process, and what was so impressive about that, it was a bipartisan effort. Congressman Portman and I, when we were both in the House, recognized there was a problem, and we wanted to do something about it. And that problem was that America's economy was doing very well back then, but we were dead last among the industrial nations on savings ratios. We just weren't saving much. Americans spent a lot. And I remember being told, well, our savings are in our homes, equity values, and we know what happened to that. And we recognized, particularly on retirement savings, that America was not doing what it needed to do. So we developed a process, and I give Congressman Portman, now Senator Portman, my colleague and friend, a great deal of credit, because there were partisan attempts to try to divide us, and both of us stood up for the process.
Yes, you did. You did.
And it was a challenge. We wanted to get something done, and we recognized that we could do it if we had all the stakeholders together, and we listened to each other. And it was a process that we could certainly use today on so many issues. And I'm pleased that Congressman Portman's now Senator Portman, and the two of us are still working together on issues, and we hope to have bipartisan bills in the future, and a process that really looks at things. And look at the incredible accomplishments, thanks to your work and ABC's work. Look at what we've been able to get accomplished. We have significantly increased the number of people who have retirement accounts, particularly the lower wage workers. We did that. Automatic enrollment, major steps forward. The Savers Credit, again, helping people deal with that. And for companies, particularly smaller ones, to be able to participate in plans, such things as rollovers and safe harbors, and then recognizing that particularly women, but many people couldn't save earlier in life, the catch-up contributions was a major way of trying to build up enough retirement savings for security when you retire. And I think one of the great accomplishments, and you helped me directly on this, was financial literacy. so people understand the concepts of savings. And we were able to get that done because of a process. And what I really find amazing when you look at some of our major accomplishments, it was part of the tax reform bills or the budget reconciliation bills, and we didn't have much support from the Democratic leadership, didn't have much support from the Republican leadership. In fact, they didn't like, either one of us liked the fact that we were messing around with their bill. And we
with
got
each other.
Right, and we got it done. And it was the first provisions, as you pointed out, that was made permanent. So
Right.
I thank you for this American Benefits Council Employee Benefits Champion, first place. That's great.
Champion.
I thank you for
you're a
that.
true heavyweight in the world of employee benefits,
Well-
and you've been in the arena. And all of these things that you mentioned, you've taken leadership. Your door's always been open to Lynn when she's come in to talk about these incredibly complex issues, and we're so grateful for that. And she and I were talking about how we went back to some of our old newsletters, and going way back to the early 90s, the late 80s, you were the champion.
Well, Lynn
have always been.
and Jim, both of you represent the American Benefits Council so well, but more importantly, you represent, I think, one of the great things we were able to get done. People are today a lot more secure than they would otherwise be with retirement savings. Good work.
Thank you so much.
Great to be on your team. And happy
Appreciate it.
50th anniversary. That's
Thank
a
you.
great milestone.
Thank you, it
Thank
certainly
you.
is. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So, in the view of the members of the American Benefits Council, there's another great employee benefit champion, and that's my colleague, Lynn Dudley, who is our Senior Vice President for Retirement and Compensation, Global Retirement and Compensation Policy. And more than anyone else in this city, Lynn has been involved in this issue. A lot of the measures that made it into various versions of Portman Cardin legislation were either ideas of hers or ideas that she nurtured at our Retirement Income Task Force meeting, along with Jan Jacobson, and just working very, very diligently with the senators and their staffs, and then congressmen and their staffs on many of these issues. And so we thought, since the senators themselves couldn't be here, just want to take a couple of minutes for Lynn to describe a little bit about this whole process that was involved in terms of their engagement so directly on these very important issues. So please welcome my colleague, Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you. So I just want to take a few minutes, since I don't have my interviewees. I was hoping to be able to talk to the senators directly and for you all to hear straight from them. I thought I would just take a few minutes and share with you a little bit about their relationship, about their partnership. As you can tell from the videos, underlying this very successful partnership is a deep respect for one another. They really do listen to each other, and they actually have a genuine friendship, just a shared interest in a lot of different things. But one of the things that they share is an interest in employee benefits, and they have shared that throughout their years in Congress. And of course, this is something that was nurtured as well by their staffs. A lot of times people don't really realize, because the senators deserve enormous credit for their leadership on these issues. And behind their leadership is all the work that their staff, their past staff, those folks that were there in the 1990s, Barbara Pay, David Kashgarian, those folks that spent a lot of time parsing through some pretty complicated issues, looking at all different sides of those issues and trying to help them build legislation. To the senators' credits, both of them were very actively engaged every iteration, and there were numerous bills that they've worked on together, and they were always very engaged in the specifics. So they shared that interest as well in really understanding what they were doing, and for that they deserve enormous credit. So what is different today than yesterday or the 1990s? And what was different about what we do today versus what we did then. Because we as advocates on behalf of our members, and I share this with all the business colleagues and benefits colleagues out there that have worked on legislation, what we did then was spent a lot of time developing ideas as groups, sharing those ideas with one another, getting input from different viewpoints, very different viewpoints, and trying to get people on board, building a coalition around an initiative. And that drove the development of legislation that was about retirement policy. It wasn't about defending retirement plans from changes that were being made or being proposed. It was more about developing initiatives to broaden retirement policy and other initiatives related to savings. And what has changed now? Well, I would say the biggest thing that has changed is technology. Technology has made it very, very much easier for many more people to weigh in, and to weigh in individually as much as through groups. And so it makes the issues more complicated, more divergent. It makes it harder to get more people on the same page. At the same time, it's easier to communicate with Capitol Hill and to share your ideas with more people. And it's easier to get data to support. It's still not easy, but it's also made, because of the interest in data and watching that grow, data has become a more significant player in the proposals that get accepted. And so that's become something that we spend a lot of time on. What else is different? Well, the workplace is different. So the issues are different. So as Jim described, the student loan issue, that's an issue that wasn't around in the 1990s in the same way that it is today. And so there's a rapid fire change in the workplace. Fred talked about the gig economy, the future workforce. We've heard from the different groups that have very divergent interests in the workplace and how much it's changing. And that has created a different dynamic in terms of the issues to gather people around. And then I would tell you the third thing that's changed, and perhaps the most profound thing, is the politics and the political environment. And it's much more difficult. You heard Senator Cardin mention that there have been efforts to break them apart on some issues, and that they've been able to force their way to stay together. And that's really something that takes a commitment, and it's something that we in the benefits industry and we in the benefits advocacy world really need to help foster. And it's something we spend a lot of time at the American Benefits Council, and we do along with our partners, and encourage all of you all to share with us in that effort to continue to build those relationships and to not let those relationships break apart over something that's really self-defeating, in the sense that it breaks apart the ability to accomplish something with respect to benefits and to grow benefits across the country, and the availability and success of the benefits programs that you all offer. So that's something I'm very focused on now, and I continue to. I've thoroughly enjoyed, I very much enjoy, and plan to continue to enjoy being an advocate for all of you all and for benefits programs that are sponsored by employers. So thank you very much.